we discussed on rise time, fall time, and delay time. All those concepts, including your mass capacitances, that is including load capacitance, how load capacitance comes, and how the delay is going to be contributed by various capacitances and other parameters. So in the last session, we discussed at the end of this slide that how we can try to what the dependencies of the delay. Okay, so dependencies of delay. We come to know that when you just increase the length of the transistor, so you're going to get a larger delay because the delay will increase. And if you reduce the width of the transistor, so then your delay will decrease. Okay, at the same time, we just delay is directly proportional to load capacitance CL. Okay, what is the load? So if CL is more, then obviously so your delay will be more. Okay, suppose we have one a normal inverter is there of certain say a standard inverter is there, say 1:1 ratio. Okay, so that is W by L ratio, that is Z pull up by pull down ratio is 1:1. So if you take that, it can drive some unit load capacitance in a good way. But if your load is more, in that case it's very obvious that your inverter, whatever the circuit is there, to charge your load capacitance, it's going to take very much time. Okay, so that nothing but your delay is going to occur. So it's very simple, similar. You can just compare the two figures here, right? So we have a large load in this truck, right? So very large load. If the normal load is there, it's going to easily move on. But when you have a large load which is exceeds the capacity of this particular truck, then it's difficult for this truck to carry this load or move along with this load. Okay, so that's the one thing. And this one thing we can say, so it's unable to drive the maximum load. So this is what happened. Just taken some simple photos so you can just compare that in order to understand the concept. Okay, right. The next one, so coming to the introduction part, so we'll have there are situations when a large load capacity such as there is a long buffers will be there, and off chip capacity loads or IO buffers are to be driven by a gate. Okay, so if there is an inverter is there that has to drive, uh, chances will be a long buffers will be there, or off chip capacity load. Off chip capacity load means, so if you have something like, so one chip is there, this is chip 1, and we have another chip 2. Okay, so in this case, so within the chip, whatever the load we are going to get, that we can call as a on chip load. And from here to here, this is chip 1, this is chip 2. So when we have chip 1 to 2, chip 2, when you have to drive the output of one chip, you have to drive the input of some other chip. So that actually constitutes a large load. Large capacitance will be there, that we call as off-chip capacitance. So off-chip capacitance will be very much higher when compared to on-chip capacitance. Okay, so this again go for IO buffers also. So IO buffers again needs to be uh, connected to your input output devices. Okay, so IO device will typically will have a much higher capacitances. So when your logic gate, say suppose you have a gate is there and this output of this gate has to drive a larger load. Okay, larger load has to be driven by this. So this will be very difficult for the a normal surge inverter. So in that case, so either delay will be very more to drive this, or it may become incapable of driving this load. Okay, just like that particular donkey. Okay, you can see in your first slide, right? So that is the thing, and this is the one thing. In case of in these cases, the delay will be high, and it's driven by if it is driven by the standard gate. Okay, right. So this is the thing, and we have some other concepts here. So we can see, suppose if we have an inverter, so one gate is there, and if it is driving, say one inverter, okay, if it is driving another inverter, only one inverter, so then we have a concept of something like uh, we have something like we call it as a fan out. Okay, fan, so out. Okay, so this is a fan out. That means the output of this particular inverter is actually driving only either one input of the or one gate. Okay, driving one input of the other gate. Okay, that's fan out. So in this case, the fan out is one. Okay, so if the output of this inverter is driven, use it for driving say so many inverters or so many other gates. Say now the same output line is given to this inverter and some other logic here, some other gate here, some other gate here. So like this, so 1 2 3 4 5. So now the fan out, so we call it as 5. Fan out is again, fan out is 5. Okay, so in this case, so the fan in, we have a concept of fan in also. So fan in means if you look this, some gate is there, and if you have something like 2 input, that means fan in is equal to 2. If you have 3 inputs, that means we call the fan in as 3. So it is basically corresponds to how many inputs you have and how many outputs you are driving by that particular output terminal. So that we call as a fan out. So this is important. So when you have it's we can say when fan out is more, uh, so the delay will be again more. Okay, so this say suppose this one inverter is there, it is able to drive this inverter, so one inverter. Okay, it is going to drive this very easily, but the same inverter is attached with another inverter here, say another inverter, other four inverters will be driven by same output. So then you may not expect the same performance as it does in the only single inverter. Okay, so it's just like so if you are the person, if you are the inverter and you are given one say one bike to, okay, pull over. Okay, so you have a thread, rope will be there for you and you want to pull one bike. Okay, so then say okay, you are able to pull that bike individually. Okay, so suppose the same thing, you are given 5 other ropes and you are given 5 other bikes to pull yourself. So, okay, so that is same case what happens here. So you have some limitation, so as a person, right? You can pull say some one bullet bike. So if you are given some 5 bullet bikes, okay, and you want to pull it with a rope, so that might be different a case, right? So that again depends on individual. So more energy is there, so if you are a very tough person, then you are able to pull it. So otherwise, so you will have some limitations. So this number of fan outs will be limited. Say your fan out limitation may be say 2. Okay, you are able to pull say uh, two bikes at a time. So if you are given 3, then you will going to make some delay slowly, so that delay occurs. So similar concept is applied here. So you can just imagine like that. Okay, right, understood the fan out. So then we can just jump on to the next part. Okay, so being understood with your fan out and fan in, so we'll go for another concept here. Okay, so we'll have some limitations for NMOS inverter. So we have something like asymmetric driving capability of pull down and pull up devices just because of ratioed logic, and these are other concepts. Okay, so we'll see this limitations of NMOS and CMOS inverter, and how do we overcome this. So this can be overcome by using uh, super buffers and BiCMOS inverter and cascade stages for as a drivers. Okay, right. So before going to your other concept, we'll try to see the drawbacks of your NMOS inverter. So because if you see this, then you'll come to know why we go for some other advantageous circuit or super buffers. So in this case, when you go for simple NMOS inverter, so this will be your NMOS inverter, right? So whenever we see this NMOS inverter, we see this ratio, right? So this pull up will be 4:1 and pull down will be 1:1. This is why we have ratioed logic. Okay, so this is one other ratio, this is one another ratio. So this is a ratioed logic. And in this case, uh, this will have some certain resistance and this will have some different resistance. Okay, so that is going to give you something like variations in your rise time and fall time, that is nothing but TP low to high and TP high to low. So basically what we will do is, so in this case So if this is working, so if your Vn is equal to 0, so this will be off, and this has to charge your capacitance to VDD, right? So while it is charging to VDD, so it is going to charge it very slowly. Okay, so it's going to charge slow because we have more resistance, right? And when your input makes becomes 1, so this VDD, which is charged, it has to come down. Okay, it is grounded by this transistor, and this discharging will occur very fast. So when compared to charging, so discharging will be very fast because charging takes time, because it's a more resistance when compared to this one, so 4 times more. Okay, so this is one thing. So you have some rise time and fall time variations will be there. That's the problem associated with this type of transistor. And another one is, so when the pull down transistor is on, the pull up transistor is also remains on. So when Vn is equal to 1, this is turned on. At the same time, this is anyhow always on. So in that case, what will happen? Uh, there will be static power dissipation from this VDD to ground. Okay, there is a path from VDD to ground, right? Right. So we can see that. So when Vn is equal to 1, the output capacitance, load capacitance to be synced down. Okay, that through say I2 current, and here we can say there is a path from VDD to ground also. So there also we can see some current will flow, so that we can call as a I1. So this transistor has to sync two currents. Okay, so it's a burden for this, right? If you are given one current, it will easily do it very fast. So when you are giving some another task also for that, so it's going to take some time again to sync this one also. Okay, there is a fight, right? So this one will try to uh, I1 will go like this, and it will try to ground. At the same time, it have to sync this I1 also. Otherwise, what will happen? So it's try to charge this, right? So if there is no connections here, so these are the two issues here. And what we'll do is, so the delay will be more. So this thing, same thing, though it has to sync the both current I1 and I2. So this issue of this simple NMOS inverter, so delay problem, what we are seeing right now, can be overcome by uh, the other solution, that is super buffers. Okay, so now we'll see super buffers. So what is super buffers? Okay, so we'll have two types of super buffers here. So one is inverting type, another one is non-inverting type. So what you will do is, this will be the basic structure of super buffer. So you will have this normal NMOS inverter. Okay, this is a normal NMOS inverter. Okay, this is what you have seen in the previous slide. Okay, and we will have another depletion mode transistor like this, and another uh, enhancement mode transistor like this, and this will be way of connections. Okay, here the output of this inverter is going to drive the input of the depletion mode transistor, and this Vin is directly given to the input for the gate terminal of this Q3 transistor. Okay, anyhow, this is your load. Okay, CL, right? So how this is work? So now, so you can see here. So in this case, so when you apply Vin is equal to 0, so when Vin is equal to 0, so what will be conditions of all these transistors? So what will be conditions of Q1? So Q1, since it is source is shorted, it is always on. Okay, and Q2, if it is 0, Q2 means it's going to turn off, right? So Q2 is off. So what about Q3? So Q3 also driven by Vin. So since Vin is equal to 0, Q3 is also off. And coming to the Q4 part, so Q4 part, since Q2 is off, so there is no connection to from here to ground, so it's open circuit. So since this is on, so this particular node, if you take this is the node, so this node will be charged to VDD. So when this is charged to VDD, so this is going to turn on this Q4. Okay, right? Because it's not connected to shorted to source here, right? It is directly connected to VDD. Okay, so depletion mode means, so when even though we are giving zero voltage, okay, so it will be always on, it is always on. Okay, if you want to turn off, you are going to apply the opposite polarity. Okay, so here, since when you are having the potential is zero also, it is turned on. So if you still giving more validity means, that is going to drive this, get a large current will be flowing through this Q4. Okay, so more current will flow connection from this output node to ground. So this through Q4 will get a large current, and whatever the capacitance is there, it's going to be charged very fast. Okay, because the charging capability of any uh, capacitance or whatever is there. So how fast a capacitance is going to charge, so the charging is actually determined by how much current is going to be there. Okay, so more the current, so then more the uh, charging capacity, so time taken to charge will be less. So you can see that something like you are seeing so many charges on the smartphones, right? So some will be charging, the fast charging will be there. So that means in that fast charging, so you will have more current capability will be there, so it's going to drive the charge the battery using more current. Okay, so rather than the normal adapter for a normal mobile. Okay, normal smartphones, some of the smartphones will not have fast charging. In that case, it's going to take some 1 hour, 1.5 hour to charge fully. But in the same case, if you go for something like for one place you have dash charging or something like that, in that case, if you put for half an hour or 40 minutes, it's going to charge fully the battery. So how it is possible? So the more current, so more current means, so the driving capability, charging time will be very less. So that's the case. So in this case, a similar thing will happen. So the larger current will be there, so very fast your cell will be charged. So that's the thing, and output will be VDD. So this is the thing. So similarly, when input is equal to 1 volt, logic 1. So what are the conditions of the transistor? So when input is 1, Q2 is on, Q3 is on, right? Q2 is on, Q3 is on, Q1 is always on, as you already know that. And you can see what even Q4. So Q4, since Q2 is on, so this will be grounded, right? This node will be grounded because Q2 is on. There is a this switch is on, right? That means it's going to ground it. So since this is 0, so this will turn off. Okay, so this will turn off, and this switch turned on, right? Q3 is on, right? This is Q3 is on. Whatever the load capacitance is there, that will be discharged through Q3. Okay, and here you can see that in the previous case of our NMOS inverter, I told you whenever we apply Vin is equal to 1, your NMOS transistor has to sink two currents, that is I1 and I2 said. So here there is no need to sink two currents because this is already off, right? Since it is off, it has to sink only one current. That means you have discharging time is very fast, improved. Okay, so when compared to previous circuit, that is NMOS inverter, so the super buffer is going to overcome the limitations of the NMOS inverter. Okay, so that's the case. And how this one is, the charging time is was very slow, but since we are having here the VDD here, this is going to give a larger current, so that is going to compensate and bring your capacitance to charge very fast. Okay, so this is the concept of inverting super buffer. So since similarly we have non-inverting super buffer, so very similar to this, you can just check it out and analyze the circuit here. So we'll try to go for other. So circuit is very simple. You just take this main and you're connected to this one, and you're taking this output of Q1 to give this one for Q3. The same thing. In this case, Q1 is always on. So when 0, Q2 is off, Q3 is off. Sorry, Q2 is off, and when Vin is equal to 0, Q4 is off. So when Q4 is off, so what will happen? Q3 is on because this is Q3 is on. Since Q3 is on, so if you give logic 0, uh, again it is going to discharge through Q3, so output will be 0 only. It is non-inverting. It is not an inverting. It's a non-inverting super buffer. And when input is equal to VDD, if you give VDD here, so Q2 is on, Q4 is on, and since Q2 is on, this node A will be discharged and this will be 0, so Q3 will be off. Okay, so since Q3 is off, there is no possibility of discharging here, so your VDD is going to be charged through to the CL. Okay, so that's what VDD dot is equal to VDD. So this is the thing, these are super buffers, right? So similar case, so we have a concept of BiCMOS inverter or BiCMOS driver. Okay, so here, so we have the best of the two cases. So we already discussed in the very first module in the class that we are the difference between BJT and MOS CMOS technology, right? So bipolar junction transistor is something like it's a current control device, and your CMOS is your MOS circuits are nothing but your voltage control device, and BJT is having a very high driving capability. Okay, so because why a small amount of base current is going to provide you the larger collector current, right? So you remember that beta is equal to IC collector current is equal to beta times IB, right? So in that case, so if you apply say 1 micro amp of say base current means, so if beta is equal to 100, so collector current you are going to get at the output side as 100 times the 1 micro, that is something like 100 micro amps you are going to get. So 100 times you are going to magnify your current than your base current what you are going to get. But only thing is, so you have a low input impedance when you go for BJTs, and when I go for say MOSFET, it has high input impedance because due to the silicon dioxide for the transistor the layer, so we have high input impedance for your MOSFET. So but very low driving capabilities, the driving current is very less, so we need to take care of best of the both worlds, uh, MOSFET and BJT. We need to take best of the both worlds, so I will try to merge them, and that we call as a BiCMOS technology. So here, so before going to BiCMOS inverter here, so why we are going to BiCMOS inverter here in this case means, suppose we have an inverter, CMOS inverter. So we have a limitation in CMOS inverter also. So I will show you this previous slide, the first slide. So when you go for limitation of simple CMOS inverter, so the reason will be your asymmetric drive capability of pull up and pull down. So this is the one thing. Asymmetric means again you have a different ratio. It's the ratio logic again, and that is the asymmetry you're going to get. So this will be, if it is standard inverter means standard size inverter means it's 1:1:1. This is going to offer say one time RS resistance means it's going to offer 2.5 times the RS. Okay, so in that is the case. So in that case, so again here the charging time will be high, discharging time will be very low. So it takes much time to charge, so less time to discharge when comparably both. At the same time, another aspect you're going to see is if there is two CMOS inverter cascaded like this, okay, in that case what you can see is, so if you see the previous NMOS inverter, okay, so NMOS inverter, so if this is the case, if the another inverter is there, the output of this one is connected to the input of next inverter. Okay, this is only one input gate is there. So in that case, the capacitance is given CG, gate capacitance will be through one transistor. But in the CMOS inverter, so cascaded inverter, what you can see is, so this particular thing capacitance will be doubled because it is driving two transistor here, two gate capacitance will be there. Okay, so obviously two gate capacitance means the capacitance is large when compared to the previous, the NMOS inverter. So the delay will be again compared to that, so it will be increasing. Okay, so this is the case, and to overcome these two things, so we'll go for BiCMOS inverter. This is the conventional, some one type of BiCMOS inverter. So you can have some different ways of connecting BiCMOS circuits. So this is not the only one. Okay, so here, so what I have done is this is your CMOS inverter. Okay, so this is your CMOS inverter. Okay, for this inverter, so the output of this inverter is given to the one BJT NPN transistor Q1. Okay, this is something like a push pull manner you are going to collect this push pull amplifier, something like that push pull manner you are going to use this BJT here, and we are taking that input here, and this N2 N3 transistor will be there, and the Q2 will be driven by this from N2. Okay, so this is circuit, and I will explain or give some the general structure how to write the BiCMOS structure in the upcoming modules. Okay, I will take this example, a general structure I'm going to provide you. so that how you can actually generally write any, if you are given, say for inverter you can write this circuit by Siemens circuit. If I have given some AND circuit, write AND circuit by Siemens AND circuit. So how to write that, so that I will be discussing in the upcoming module. Okay, so for time being we'll try to analyze this circuit. Okay. Okay, so this is the structure here. So what will happen? So now, so this we are going to provide V is equal to 0. So now, if we provide V is equal to 0, what will happen? What are the conditions of transistors here? So what is the condition of P1? So P1 is on, right? Because input is 0 means P1 is on, and input is 0 means this is NMOS, this is NMOS, NMOS. So N1, N2, N3 are off. Sorry, N1, N2 is off because directly driven by V. N1, N2 are off. And what about N3? So N3 is input is connected to this node, and since N1 is off and P1 is on, so this node will be charged to VDD. So this will be VDD now. So this VDD is going to drive this inverter, sorry, this transistor. So N3 will be on. So N3 will be on, and since there is a VDD here, so it's going to provide some current here, right? So from here P1 you're going to get some base current. So that base current, you're going to get the Q1 will be turned on. So Q1 will be on. So what happens Q2? So Q2 base current is provided by N2. So what is the condition of N2? So the condition of N2 is off, right? So when N2 is off, you're not getting any base current, sorry, current from this N2, so that this can be drive this Q2. So Q2 is off, so Q1 is on. So in this case, so you're going to get some current, base current here. So since Q1 is on, so here we will have something like load capacitance. Okay, so you have so load capacitance here. Okay. Right. So this load capacitance will be charged through Q1. So since we are having very large current, you are going to get almost 100 times. I told you I have IC is equal to beta times IB. Okay, this base current will be almost increased. So this is the thing. So you're going to get a larger current. It is going to charge this capacitor, load capacitance very fast. So what is the condition for when Vin is equal to VDD? So when Vin is equal to VDD, what will be the conditions now? The conditions are very simple. So what is the condition of P1? So P1 is off because Vn is equal to VDD. So N1 is be on, N2 will be on. What is the condition of N3? So since N1 is on, P1 is off, so this node will be grounded, right? So you will get have 0 volt here. So this 0 volt means N3 will not go turn on, so N3 will be off. So N3 will be off. So what is the condition of Q1? So Q1 is driven by this node, and this node is essentially 0 right now. And since it is 0, Q1 will be off. So Q1 will be off. What is the condition of Q2 now? So Q2, since N2 is on and N3 is off. So N3 is off, there is no connection from here to ground. It is open circuit, and N2 is there. So from N2, you are going to get some base current. It's going to give some current because N2 is on. It's going to get some current, and this current is going to drive your Q2. And since this Q2 is on, so through Q2, your capacitance is going to discharge. Okay, so this is concept of BiCMOS inverter, and you can see, so why we're going to get very small delay means because this sorry, so this particular Q1 and BJT what we are using is going to provide very large current. As said before, the larger current means so very fast charging and discharging. Right. So the next stage, so we'll go for another concept of buffer sizing. Okay. So buffer sizing. So the MOS transistors of unit length 2 lambda has a gate capacitance proportional to its width. Okay, and which may be in terms of multiple of lambda. That means with the increase in the width, the current driving capability will be increased, and however, this turn also increase the gate capacitance. So this is the thing. So if we increase the width of the transistor, okay, width of the transistor or width of the channel, so in that case what will happen, you will have the driving capability, current will increase. The width, if width is going to increase means current will increase, that hence you are going to increase the driving capability. But at the same time, so if you start increasing your width, it's going to contribute the gate capacitance will be more. So it's something like this. Suppose you have this size of width, okay, so this will be your width, okay, so it's going to contribute, say, so some delay, okay, or some capacitance, okay, right, say one microfarad, something like that, you assume. And so if you increase this particular width to like this, if you increase the width now, okay, say three times, double or triple, okay, so in this case what happens, here, so width increases means, so the electrons flow will have much number of space to go, right? So that means a large, it's something like you're having a small door in your home and big doors in your children's, right? So which one is efficient for traveling, pushing some more number of peoples? Okay, so in your home door, we can just at a time we can push only 2 or 3%, right? But same time when you go for a very larger door, something in temples or something like that, so at a time we can move almost 5 to 10 peoples. Okay, so that means when you have 5 to 10 peoples means more carriers are moving. More carriers are moving means more current. Okay, so more current is, we are getting more current means the higher the current, the charging capacity will be more and discharging capability will be more. At the same time, delay will be less. Okay, that is the same thing. The current is more means the driving capability will increase. Okay, and this also in turn increase the gate capacitance. So since I had only this much size earlier, so this area is going to, this much area of uh, part is going to provide me the gate capacitance. So since now I have the width is more like this, so now this entire area is going to contribute a gate capacitance now. So the gate capacitance will increase. Okay, so this is the case. So when you increase the, if you want to drive, increase the capability of driving capability, so by increasing the width of the transistor or width of the device, so that in turn is going to increase the capacitance, gate capacitance. Okay, so you can have some relation here. So delay in driving load capacitance, your CL. So by transistor gate capacitance, CG is given by relationship. So CL divided by CG times of tau. Okay. Um, right. So now, so what happens if I try to take an example here? So I have a standard inverter here, and this inverter is having a large load. So we have something like 1,000 times CG is there. So this 1,000 times CG large load capacitance. Okay, this is a load capacitance. And if this want to, this is want to drive this higher load, so what will be the delay? Okay, how much time it is going to take to charge this 1,000 into CG capacitance? So by a small 1:1 inverter, okay, 1:1 means we have one time RS here. Okay, so 1:1 ratio means one time RS seat resistance you are going to provide here. Okay, right, but your capacitance is not one time CG, it is 1,000 times CG. Okay, so in that case what will happen, what is the delay? Delay is nothing but R into this load capacitance, right? So what is RS here? The RS is one time, because only 1:1 ratio is there, so one time RS, okay, into what is the CG here, it is 1,000 times CG. Okay, so 1,000 into R into CG, so that means 1,000 tau, so you're going to get 1,000 tau delay. Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, this is the thing. If you have this 1:1 ratio, this standard inverter is there, and if you have some large load 1,000 CG, for example, so then the delay will be almost 1,000 tau. So in order to charge this 1,000 CG, the delay will be 1,000 tau. Okay, right? So what can I do for reducing the delay? Okay, so I can have, I told you something that we can try to increase the width, right? Width of the transistor, if you try to increase, so then the delay will come down. So I can try to go for another example here. Suppose I'm having here 1:1 and the inverter is there, and here I can try to go for another inverter is there. So having, so instead of two inverters, So what I will do, this is 1000 cg is there, and you have uh, this is 1000 cg you're having. So in this case what will happen, so this inverter, okay, so this inverter is 1:1 ratio, this I am taking as 1000:1, that means the width is 1000 times larger than your this predecessor inverter. So that is the width is 1000 times more than this one. Okay, in this case, what is the CG you can see here. So this CG is because since this is not 1:1 an inverter, you have 1000 times, that means you are having 1000 times CG you're going to get. If you see from this node to this side, this how to see this capacitance, I have write this load capacitance I already explained in the previous video. Okay, so mass capacitances in an inverter delays. Okay, so this from saying from this node to this side. Okay, so we have 1000 times width is more, so 1000 times CG are going to face here. Okay, okay, so from this is a 1:1 inverter, as seen here 1:1 and 1000 CG is means, so what's the delay you're going to get, 1000 tau. So from here to here you are going to get 1000 tau delay, and from here to here to charge this 1000 CG. So since this is 1000 times wider, so the resistance you can see almost one time 1 by 1000 of RS. Okay, the resistance, because you are increasing width means you are reducing the resistance. Okay, that is smaller the door means you are struggling to go, right, there is a more resistance. If you are having a wider door means the resistance will come down, right. If you double the size of your door, what will happen, so the rush and the resistance will come down by half, right. So similar to that, if you are increasing width as 1000 times, so your resistance is going to come down by 1000 times. That means RS 1 by 1000 times of RS you are going to get. And what is capacitance here is 1000 is there, so 1000 divided by 1000 into RC into CG you are going to get. So 1000 cancel, you are going to get 1 time RS into CG. RS into CG is nothing but tau, so we're going to get delay of 1 tau. So total you are going to get, so 1000 tau, so from here, and 1 tau from here. Okay, so total 1001 tau you are going to get the delay, right. So what we can do, because when you are having this 1000 times CG means this capacitance will going to get increased, right. 1000 times you cannot just go on increasing your width, so it's going to consume more area, and at the same time it's going to give you more capacitance. So for that we will try to go for something like cascade stages with having some increasing ratio. So instead of just going 1:1 to 1000:1 directly, you're going to increase the width to 1000 times. Okay, in this two stage, you try to gradually increase. Okay, so first we have 1:1 inverter, then the next inverter we're going to have 10 times greater than this inverter, and from the next inverter, so this inverter will be almost 10 times larger than this inverter. Okay, larger means in terms of width. Okay, so if this is the case, you can try to have, because we have getting some not able to get the reduction in delay, right. So that is the case. So what happens for these conditions, so if we do this, you will try to analyze here. So if here a 1:1 transistor, sorry, inverter is there, and this is 10:1, so the effective capacitance you can see here is 10 times CG. So this you are going to once 1 time CG, and this is your 10 here, so 10 times CG you are going to see the capacitance here. So similarly from this node, if you see here, so you are going to get if you see here, it's going to be 100 times larger than this, so that means you're going to have 100 times CG. Okay, so for this inverter charging you're going to, so here again you're having the normal 1000 CG to drive. So what happens in this case, what will be the delay now, right now. So in this case, from here to here, what will be the delay. So since 1:1 is there, 10G is there, so I'll get here 10 tau, right. So here for this inverter I'm going to get delay of 10 tau, and from here, so since 10:1 is there, so you'll get 1 by 10 into RS into 100 into CG. So you get again 100 divided by 10 into RS into CG. The 100 divided by 10 means again 10, so 10 tau. So this is again getting 10 tau of delay. So what about for this? So you're having 1000 Cg here and 100 is to 1 ratio. So you're going to get resistance will be 1 by 100 times of sheet resistance. That means 1 by 100 into uh, so 1000 times of Cg. So in case 1000 divided by 100 you're going to get. So 1000 divided by 100 again you're going to get 10 times Rs into Cg you're going to get. So again you're going to get 10 tau. So from here to here 10 tau delay, here to here 10 tau delay, here to here again 10 tau delay. So total delay you're going to get will be 30 tau. So when you compare these three circuits here, so different stages, so if you see it's very affordable, right? So there is so much improvement in this. So when compared to this, we are having 1000 tau delay here, 1001 tau delay here, you are going to get 30 tau here. So this is more advantageous now. So this is why you can say the cascade stages of inverter in order to reduce the delay. Okay. So this is the one thing you can drive the large capacitance of 1000 Cg. Okay. So only using 30 tau of delay if you go for this type of things. Okay, and the question is how do we know that I can just put only this only three inverters to drive this amount of capacitance, or five times five inverters, six inverter, eight inverters? So how do you know that? How do you know how much inverters you have to cascade to get the minimum delay? Okay, because you cannot just go on putting the inverters, right? Because every time we are putting some another inverter means you are sacrificing more area in your chip. Okay, more area is going to be consumed, and more area means again the power consumption will be more. Okay, it will be increased. So this is the case, we cannot just go on simply increasing. So we need to find some optimum value, the ratio. So in what time, and another thing is how many stages you need to go with. That is you have to find out for getting minimum delay. At the same time, so I told you uh, so the second inverter is almost 10 times greater than the first inverter, and again third inverter is 10 times greater than this in second inverter predecessor. Okay, this 10 times I'm telling. So how many times it has to be greater, so that bigger. Okay, so that has to be again identified. Okay, so these are the things you will find out in your cascade stages issues, and for that, so we'll try to find the optimum value for that, and we'll have some derivation for that. Okay, and this is the thing I told you, with a smaller number of stages. If you have less number of stages, if you have three or one, two stages, that means delay will be large, and fan to the fan out effective. And with the large number of stages, we get large delay due to uh, intrinsic delay. Okay, right. This is the thing, and this is something like your derivation part I said. So if we try to, this is the ratio I'm taking. This you are considering for NMOS inverter. That's why I'm taking the this 1:1 is representing for your pull down transistor. This 4:1 will be for pull up transistor. That is a depletion mode transistor. So the ratio will be something like this. So L is to W, L is to W. So 4 is to 1 is there. So next I have taken, I don't know the value, so I have taken as F, and this will be F square, something like that. So dot final load capacitance. So with large F, so large F means so N is going to decrease, but the delay per stage is going to increase. Okay, so F is more means that if F is more means, if I very first example, if I have one is to 1 here, and if you make F is 1000 times greater, this F you are going to large taken large value. So in that case, the number of stages will decrease, but we have something like that is your number of stages will increase. Okay, and so in this case, so delay per stage will be defined by F into tau for 0 to 1 transition. Okay, so that means when your pull down transistor is on, in that case you are having F tau, and your pull up, whenever pull up transistor is on, okay, in that case you are having transition of 1 to 0 transition. Okay, that is input we are going to have 1. If your input is 1, you have F tau, and if an input is 0, we have 4f tau delay. Okay, so total you have f tau plus 4f tau, you're going to get 5f tau delay. Okay, so similarly for CMOS, so we'll have 7f tau. Okay, these two things you already seen in your last videos. Okay, why 5 tau and why 7 tau I discussed. Okay, Right. So now let's take the variable as y that is given by CL by square of CG. Okay. So the very first slide I have shown you the capacity is given by CL divided by CG. Okay. So that I am going to use here. It's given by f to the power of n. Okay. So where f to the power of n, we can just have the summation here as the stages. So the load capacitance here is given by, so what is the gate capacitance of this and what is the load. So those ratios you're going to have, so g1 g2 something like that. Okay. And to determine what value of web is going to give you the minimum delay. Okay. So that can be taken from the definition of y is equal to f to the power of n. You are taking the natural logarithm for that. It is ln of y equals n into ln of f. So the n value becomes logarithm of y divided by logarithm of f. So for even stages of delays, so that is, if you are, this is about odd stages, if you have another inverter here, it become even stages. So for n is equal to even stages, then it will become n by 2 into 5 f tau. So 5 by 2 to 5 f tau. This is for NMOS inverters. And if you go for the same inverter, will be, if it is a your CMOS inverters, then it will be 7 n by 2 into 7 f tau. It's 3.5 n f tau. Okay. So we can see that delay is directly proportional to n f tau. Okay. That's the thing. And how we can get the optimal stages. So to get these stages appropriately, that is how, for what value of the value of f, you're going to get the very optimal minimum delay. In that case, we can just go for f is equal to e. Okay, so that's because f is going to assume the value of e, that is base to natural logarithm e. So in that case, so we'll have so very optimal delay. So in that case, if we replace f is equal to e, so we get the overall delay as n. For even stages, we know that 2.5 into nf tau, n should be here replaced with e. Okay, similarly for odd stages, we'll have 2.5 into n minus 1 plus 1 e tau for NMOS for input transition and various different input transitions. Okay, so from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. And we can finally say that each stage should be almost 2.7 times wider than the predecessor. That means to get the optimum delay, so this inverter should be 2.7 times greater than the predecessor. Almost we should not take 2.7 value there. So we'll try to round off it, say up to 3 or something like that. 3 times larger, something like that from the predecessor. This should be 3 times greater than this. This should be 3 times larger than this device. Okay, so this will be your cascade stages. And come to the your summary part. Okay, so whenever you want to drive the large load, so you will try to use a chain of inverters, and each inverter size should be increasing by the same amount. Okay, the ratio of the DF will be same. And to minimize the delay, we should set the effective fan out to be about 4. So you should not drive more gates, that is fan out is equal to 4, 8, 9, 10 like that. So we'll try to fix for 4. Okay. Right. So then the whole number of stages, you have to use the whole number of stages that I told 2.7 I told you. So don't use 2.5 times something like that. You try to use whole number of stages. Okay. So then therefore choose the closest number of stages to optimal fan out, and choose accordingly signal polarity at minimum speed. And when you have the fewer stage means, that means less power and less area consumption. Okay, so again it's a trade-off here always. So whenever you want to have more performance, so in that case you will have to sacrifice your power and area. Okay, if you want speed, so power and area should be sacrificed. Okay, so that's the case. So you always have a trade-off. If you want to get some, you have to spend some. Okay, so this will complete your module 2. Okay, so we'll try to move on to the next third module. Okay, so thank you very much.